Welcome to Solve It Like a Marketer. Today, we are looking at behavioral learning theory as part of consumer behavior marketing. Don't go away. Now, before we get into the theories themselves, let's talk about memory and marketing. Now, in consumer behavior, we consider how vivid memories are actually linked to brand recognition. Now, if marketers can actually create a long-standing connection between products or services and memorable experiences, this, they hope, will lead to brand loyalty. Now, memories are created by learned actions either observed or taken by the individual, and we learn directly or vicariously by observing events that affect others. Now, sometimes we learn without doing anything. For instance, consumers may recognize many brand names and can hum a product jingle, for instance, even if it's a product they don't actually use. Psychologists who study learning have documented several theories to actually explain this process. And understanding these theories is really important to marketers because it's at the heart of the consumer purchase decision process. So let's dive in. So behavioral learning theories. So these assume that learning takes place as a result of responses to external events. So psychologists basically approach the human mind, as a black box. And whatever goes into the black box are stimuli or events that are perceived from the outside world. Things that come out of the box are responses or reactions to these stimuli. So, for example, you might be walking by a hot dog stand, catch a smell of the hot dogs on the grill, and you start salivating. Now you realize just how hungry you are, and you begin to crave a hot dog, and you remember how much you love hot dogs, especially with various toppings. Stimulus, response. So this brings us to two approaches to behavioral learning: classical conditioning and instrumental conditioning. Now, with classical conditioning, the most well-known example is Pavlov's dog. So the Pavlov's dog experiments. Here, a Russian psychologist named Ivan Pavlov presented a dog with a stimulus. In this case, it was a bowl of meat, and measured the dog's salivation. He then paired this action with the sound of a metronome. Finally, he removed the meat stimulus, and as a result, the dog would actually salivate automatically just by hearing the metronome alone. So this basic form of classical conditioning focuses on visual and olfactory cues that induce psychological responses such as hunger, thirst, or sexual arousal. In marketing, when these types of cues are paired with conditioned stimuli, such as brand names, consumers may learn to feel hungry, thirsty, aroused when later exposed to those brand cues. The second type of behavioral learning is instrumental conditioning. So this occurs as individuals learn to perform behaviors that produce positive outcomes and avoid behaviors that result in negative outcomes. So under instrumental conditioning, people perform more complex behaviors and associate these behaviors with either rewards or punishments. So for example, the owner of a new store might award shoppers with coupons for, say, 20% off. And if they come back into the store in person, they get this coupon. So here, the consumer is rewarded for their action. And in future, they might keep an eye out for similar offers. So this is a learned response. Another example, which is pretty obvious these days, is if you gain a large number of likes on Facebook for posting, say, funny content, for instance. Likely you're going to do this again. So again, this is a learned response. So as you can see, understanding human behavior and responses to certain stimuli is really important to marketing, especially in retail, where not only the product itself, but the environment in which it's placed plays such a key role in the decision-making process. So in the store, is there music? Is it wide open or is it claustrophobic in terms of space? What are the smells of the store? What is the color palette of the store? And how does it make you feel? So I challenge you, next time you go out shopping, even if it's to the grocery store, to not only observe others' behavior, but your own as well. How much of your decision-making process is based on memory and learned responses? When other people are deciding what to buy from a selection of options, what seems to be their process of elimination? Is it price, quantity, brand loyalty, circumstance? In other words, there aren't any other options. Or do you think it's completely random? So as marketers, we have to understand the needs and wants of our customer base. And this applies to both nonprofit and for-profit realms. Understanding the psychology behind decision-making is paramount. Everything from donating to a charity, voting for a political party, to whether or not to order deep dish or thin crust pizza, all of these decisions can be analyzed and accounted for. The trick is to tip the balance in our favor. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you every week with a new video, so please stay tuned, and together, let's solve it like a marketer.